wronged a lot of people in my lifetime. And regardless of whether or not it was intentional or unintentional, the Lord has had me go back and for the past month and a half ask for forgiveness from certain people. And all of this started when months ago someone came up to me and apologized for the fact that they were a jerk for some things that they said and did, and asked for forgiveness. Mind you, I had just expressed to someone how there were a lot of things that this person did that, not going into detail, but just a lot of things that this person had done to hurt and offend me. And I was like, wow, I thought I healed from that, but I don't know, there's just something still there. And so that released me and really opened my eyes to see when I asked them, I said, what sparked that? And they brought how there was a certain scripture that said that we're to go to the people that we've offended and to ask for an apology. Do I believe that it's absolutely everybody? I don't think that's actually possible. But I do believe that God is asking us to right certain wrongs because they do have repercussions. And so it's funny because recently I saw that person again and I looked at them and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm sorry because I was a jerk. I was rude. I was mean. I was bogus. I was wrong for the things that I did and that I said. And I was like, please forgive me. And without even a split second decision, they were like, oh, I forgive you. And I was just like, whoa, how easy was it to get blindsided and think for even a second that I was the only one, or that I was the only one, or I'm sorry, that person was the only one guilty of any wrongs. And so I believe that in this season, if you saw my little caption, part 1 in my shorts, you'll see that I believe that the Lord just wanted me to elaborate just a little bit more on the how, the why, because it's how do you get started? How do you know who to go to? And so I feel like step number 1 is inviting God into that process. Lord, is there anybody that I have offended that I need to go back and say sorry to? If there is, bring them to my memory. And I kid you not, the day that I asked that, it was like the Lord brought this person, that person. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of people. In reality, it was maybe 7. But I would thank God I still had access to them. Not as much because they've put boundaries on my communication with them, but that's okay. Rightfully so. Fortunately, they have learned, excuse me, over time, it's okay to set boundaries. And so anyway, a lot of these relationships were severed because I just up and left and abandoned essentially what we had. And again, while it wasn't intentional, that doesn't mean I didn't hurt them. So step number 1, inviting God into that process. Step number 2, that when he tells you, write it down. Number 3 is asking God, well, let me take a step back. Understanding that when you ask for forgiveness, 100% you're forgiven, and you yourself processing the fact that we've hurt someone, because sometimes I think it can be so overwhelming that we have been hurtful towards a person that it tends to keep us in that low place or even in denial, because we don't want to believe even for a moment that somebody that we loved, we were hurtful towards. And so you come to terms with that, and then you ask God for an opportunity to speak with them. And I kid you not, I did this with multiple people, and it was so wild. It was so funny because the Lord had even brought 3 all at one time. And it didn't even hit me until afterwards. I'm like, oh, shoot, that was my opportunity. I said, Lord, please, 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 give me another chance. Give me another chance. I was like, I just need an opportunity to talk with him. And so while this one had to be separate, and I've gotten, I think, 2 out of the 3, I was grateful because I know that that was God who presented that. And you have to understand, some of them are not going to be ready. Some of them might not even fully gotten out of survival mode themselves. And so they might not be ready to receive it. They say, yeah, it's fine. You didn't do anything wrong. In reality, you know full well you were a jerk. At least that was my case. And then in other instances, there's some that have set boundaries, or they're sort of not diving into that conversation. And while I don't fully understand the why, I can only assume I mean, I have apologized a couple times, but also maybe they're just not ready to go down that road. And I have to be okay with that and be respectful and mindful that even though I'm ready to sort of squash that, maybe they're not. And maybe there's some other things that they're not ready to fully communicate. Maybe they are still in whatever it is. I'm just giving you different assumptions and different reasonings that they could not, or that maybe they're not like fully there. But the point is, the only reason I moved forward was because I felt like God was like, hey, I need you to go do this. I need you to go do that. I need you to apologize to this person, apologize to that person. I was like, shoot, that's a lot of people. But at the end of the day, even though some may not be in full awareness, and maybe it didn't come off as, another reason could be that maybe it didn't come off in the same way. But regardless, I knew my actions, and it's wrong to just abandon people because you are not able to cope, or you are just overwhelmed, or whatever the case is, And so just purely out of obedience, I did it regardless of whether or not these people fully understood or even, even were offended. I just knew in my heart that that's what God was asking me to do. So I needed to move forward. So I did. It was very long-winded. But anyway, so you ask God to show you these people. You write the list of names down. You ask God for an opportunity to speak with them. And then you come to terms with the fact that, prepare yourself. Maybe they are, or maybe they're not going to be ready to receive what I have to tell them. But regardless, my job is to move forward. My job is to present the case. Period. And in the right time, when they're ready to process that information, because it's happened to me, and in the right time, God is able to sort of, mend those things. And understand, you may or may not get the same access, but you broke a trust. It's going to take time to earn that back. Just pray about it. Pray for them too.